friend, it's Pat Sloan here. So I want to talk about planner before I go any further because it is already, what, the 16th? Is that right? No, what is today? Is today the 16th? And I'm like way behind. I didn't fill it in. What's with that? So last month I did fill in a bunch. I did really good. I kept track. But I've sort of lost track a little bit here of the days. How does that happen? So I will go back and just make something up, I guess. Or make a note just to say I didn't fill anything in for several days. What is with that? But for next year, I have, in a few days, maybe next week's one day, when there's not quite as much going on for the day, I have some thoughts about some planners and these little books I found that were kind of cool, and I want to go over them with you and see if anybody, I don't know if what I'm going to do with them, but I'm going to show them to you. But if you're doing your journal and you're keeping up, yes to you, because it is not easy. I also want to show you, I got two very cute things, some happy mail. This came from Peggy, and she sent it to me via Amazon. So I'm not sure where Peggy lives, but what state. But look at this. It is, can you guess what it is? I need like some little jingle. It is to put baking soda in and put it in your fridge. Although I might have to decorate with it for a while, Peggy, because I want to see it all the time. It's so cute. Just darling. And then I got the cutest thing from Sharon. Sharon, who is also in Virginia. She's further south of Virginia than me. And she sent something. She sent it to Pat Sloan and Company, which Greg picked up the mail and he goes, "Oh, it's for the company." And then inside she goes, I have to read this part, Sharon. She goes, "I thought I would take you and Mr. Greg to lunch, but since it's a couple-hour drive, I'm sending you this card." And it is Jersey Mike's. Greg was so excited, Sharon. He's like, "Thank you." I don't know if any of you remember watching the video where I showed and talked a little bit about Jersey Mike's, and we have one just up the street. It's not that far. So that's super awesome. Okay, pumpkins. We finished our pumpkins, except I had to put binding on my last one from our pumpkin sew along. But it's back from the quilter. I don't even have it trimmed. I'm going to trim it. I'm going to trim it today. And so I want to show it to you. Here we go. Oh, well, I could do it. Yeah, is this right? Yeah, there it is. There we go. Look at this. Is it right side up? Okay. I'd be sure I wasn't holding it upside down. Look how awesome that is. And we picked a vine. My friend Karen who quilted it. Look at, you can see that. Isn't that vine super cool? And so I decided, I think it'll fit where the library quilt is in my dining room. So I have to go measure. Of course, I didn't think about that in advance, but that's where I'm going to hang it. And I'll take the library quilt down until like January. I'll put it back up then, something like that. So I've got to get this guy trimmed. The backing I used from the same fabric line as the fabrics in the front. I don't know whether they're Fig Tree, whether they were Hollow's Eve or something like that. It was very popular. I think you all bought it. I think you bought it all. Did I show you the card? Did I show you the front of the card that came with that Sharon sent? If I didn't show it to you, I just realized I saw it laying there. It's got mushrooms on it. Look at all the different color mushrooms. So cute. Okay, that's the pumpkins. If you want to share your pumpkin quilt, do it over at Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. And we'd love to see your pumpkin quilts today. And it's also UFO busting day. So I'm going to issue that a challenge for you to find a UFO to move forward. Now, I could consider this my UFO. I could consider this. It's not really, because it's kind of in progress. But I think I'm going to go ahead and get another one of my stack of quilts that needs binding. And that's what I'll do this week. I'll do a second, bind this one. And at the same time, I'll trim another one and bind it so that I can get another one off of the binding pile, which is a little excessive still. It's about 19 pieces, 18 pieces. So that is my goal. Okay, and the last thing is that yesterday was I Love Lucy Day. So who is a Lucy fan? Definitely a Lucy fan. I was not a Lucy, I didn't really know about I Love Lucy until I was an adult. So I kind of missed it when I was a kid. I think I was probably too young, and then we went over to Europe, and we didn't have American television most of the time that we lived there. So I didn't really see anything or know about Lucy until I came back. But I have really enjoyed watching them over time. All right, now we're going to go into the there we go, critters. We're going to go into the critters. What we have to do is, the royal we, is get the part center here, and we're going to go to the other side of the table because I'm going to open a bag or two and find some half square triangles, because I don't need any more blocks. This quilt has a lot of very narrow strips for sashing. It doesn't have much since it's sort of all going to be condensed pretty tight. There won't be a lot of spacers in it, but I want to keep them green, or it's green and yellow. That would probably be, I don't need any other colors. If I can't find green half square triangles, then I will just use strips. Because it just needs to keep pretty cohesive. I will also, when it's done, put a little green, a tiny, like an 1.5 inches or something. I don't want it to get very big, border around it in green. And then I have that beautiful green fabric with the elephants on it that was a gift from one of our community to use for the backing. So let's get to the back side. Oh, I forgot about a UFO that's in progress, and I will finish it soon. This is the one where I took what was already done, the Halloween with the spider web, and then I added the little pumpkin. And now the pumpkin is from this year's cross stitch, the free one that we did in June. But you see those little like star things? So I'm gonna add probably 5 of them, I think, on here. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see what size it is and look around and decide whether I just wanna put a little border or maybe make a little table mat. I don't want another pillow because I've got enough pillows right now. So but it would be a cute pillow. So anyways, that is good. I was excited to pull that out and actually might finish it. So now we're going to go on. We're going to look at this guy. Let me explain how I have this set up. Each bag actually is kind of color coordinated. So this one is all blue, so I know I do not want that one. And this one is got most things that are mostly red, so that don't want that one. I've already been in this bag, so I know this is one to look in. It's gigantic. I mean, there are probably like 8 quilts in here. And then this one I think also has, I think it might be Christmassy. So we're not doing that one. So those will go back in the bin here. Not to be worried with. Now, I know that I looked through this one the other day. So let me just pull this guy out and show it to you because I haven't looked in here. And I know that in this bag here, which is where I found that one block, this bag here, there are a bunch of half square triangles, but I didn't really look at color. But look at this, right? Now I did make myself a note. Look at this, aren't I fancy? Fall. So these are fall. But like right here, which looks like Christmas to me, but there we go. That's, they're too big. They're too big. They are 3.5. I don't know. I'm going to leave them though. I'm going to leave them out. And then these are too big. So I have to have, they're the right color. Although I think I want a little bit springier green. And then it looks like I put a lot of stuff in the baggie, the small stuff, but not all of it. And here's a bunch, see, of from when I did a project. They were leftovers for whatever reason, leftovers. And then all of this is bigger. There's a pumpkin, there's a top, this is a whole broom, I think. Yeah, this is a whole broom that I just, see there's orange, but I don't want orange. I need to keep green. Look at that. So this was one of our projects we did a couple years ago, Quilt Along, and I think what happened is it just wasn't the right color for what was going on. And so this is a nice group of things that I don't want to use. And those are the wrong color. So let's just take a look in the baggie. And this is what this process here is pretty fast, you know, when you're looking at it, because if I'm just looking for green, I know right away black would be okay, but if the other side of it's not green, it's a no-go, because I am definitely focused on green. So these are orange. I'll just open one so you can see. Let me just, you know, show you a little bit. So they're now, something that's yellow is fine, but yellow and black, you know, I really just need to find green. Green, green, green. These are all yellow and black. These are all from the project cutaways that, you know, they're just not to the right color. So let's just see if there's any green. Okay, purple, orange, no. This is all going to be, there's some green. That's a green. Well, you can't see it. So these two. Oh, there's a little bitty one. What am I, insane keeping that? Look at that. Look at that little bitty thing. Okay, so this was, had some, you know, a little bit of something. It makes them a little bit more interesting. I don't even mind trimming these down to a little bit smaller size to fit at like the corner of a sashing. Put them together like this, so that, you know, they just give it a little bit more interest, break up a straight line kind of a deal. So from this pile, I've got these to look at. And let me just move this away and get the other pile. So this stack has a lot of small pieces, a lot of half square triangles. And I sort of put them in the middle because I didn't have a baggie like that other one, and I like that idea of the baggie, so I think I will get a baggie after I'm done with this. There's a long piece, but it's too wide. I mean, this is really, there's very little going on here that, so here's some with green. I'm just going to keep them all out. Now that one's too big. Big, big, big. See, here's some with green, but they're real big, and I just don't want to cut them down that much because I have to cut them down quite a bit. And I'd rather just use a strip because that's really, you know, I'm just going to lose too much. Okay, this is a lot of squares. Look how pretty that is. This is, I think, a more miscellaneous grouping. See, here's some limey greens, which may read more yellow. They're like those two that I had up there. So here's from one of the projects that we did. They're probably the cutaways. You know, there's just tons, and they're not the right color. And so I'm going to put, but here we go. Here's some green. What is that one? That's green. So there's another one from there. So, whoa. There we go. So we've got these greens, and then this is big. And so, like, again, I don't want to cut that down. That's just too much. There's a precious star. Oh my goodness, look how sweet that is. Look how sweet that is. But I don't think look at this. Look at this. But, yeah, wrong color. There's another big, see, I got two of these guys. I've got two of those already with this kind of green, but here's green behind here. But it's big. These are big, but they do have the kids on them, but they're just too wide. I'm going to have to cut them down. It'd be better to save them for another project when I can use them more together. You know, I don't have to cut them. I'm going to put that star there, but I'm pretty much a no-go because I would have to probably, no, it's not going to work unless I just don't do that little crab. That would be the other thing. But the little crab's kind of cute. I have to stitch him. I'll just keep it out to think about. Of course, there's more Halloween, and here's more of these greens. And so I'll take those in case. But now we're, once again, back to bigger, 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 more bigger. Okay, and then now everything, I've got them layered, so everything under here was from a rail fence, the extra rail fence pieces, or not rail fence, here's what the block looked like. It was one of the quilt-alongs we did, or I did with Fat Quarter Shop. Okay, so none of this is going to work because they're all too big. There was cute block, that I don't even remember doing that. This one I do remember doing for a sample in a quilt along that we did. And then there's more blocks, see? But they're all too big, and I'm not going to cut anything down. Here's traffic jam blocks from my pattern, traffic jam. So there's a P, look at that. That was a quilt along I did for somebody who, this was English paper pieced. Yeah, so I was on their tour a while ago. So see, lots and lots. Here's the selvage blocks. They're cool. None of this will fit. It will not fit. Here is a tulip. So this is the stuff that gets put in the part center. I think there's like an entire baby quilt in here. This one is like so big. This block is so big I could do a border on it and it could be a baby quilt. This was from my Bonnie Lane fabric. Yeah, here, you want to see it? Let me just lay it out. See how big it is? Look at that. So it's a nice big block, and I could just, you know, put some border or a table mat or something. We'll see. Center of a medallion quilt. Okay, so that's what we got. Not a lot, but it's good to look. Like if I needed a big block, this would have been fabulous, right? If I needed a big green, well, it's green and pink, but that would have been cool in there. But there's no space. There is no space. Okay, let's go back to the other side. First thing I have to do is go back to the master plan here and look at some of the sizes. So I have some 3-inch, some 2.5, some 2. There's 3 1/4, which is awkward. But here's like a long 2-inch strip. I talked about that. That's going to definitely break that up. I don't want it going all the way across like that. And originally, I thought that maybe I would move the cat up. I don't know. If I do, then it would just break up. Then I'd have 2 straights down there, but I think I'll just leave it like that. So what do I need? I need to see what these sizes are. So like these guys here are pretty much the 3-inch. So this size is pretty much a 3-inch. These were a little shy, because remember these are sew-in flips that I had left over, so they were a little shy of that. This grouping over here is basically 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. So if I get the rest of them all, you know, sort of put into position, this is tiny. What is that? That is 1.5. I don't think there's any more of those. So what are these pinwheels? What are the pinwheels? They're 3.5. Now I could just trim them down a little bit so they could be used in the 3-inch pile. I'm going to do that. And then this guy is this whole ruler, which is 4.5. And I don't think I have anything 4.5. I do have a 4, but down here, but that would chop off all the little points. And so I don't know. It's precious. Maybe I will save it to put on the label or something. You know, like build a big white frame around it to write everything, and this will be in the middle of the label. That would be so cool. So I think I'm going to save it off anyways. Okay, so now let's go to the wall. Now one of the things a few people said was like, oh, I could trim some off of the unicorn, I could trim some off like from the dragonfly and from the chicken, could trim some off from the cat and the penguin, and if I did that I could probably pull it in another inch or 1.5 inches. And yes, I could go and do all of that, but I decided I just didn't want to do that extra level of work. I've already worked on it at this point, and that is certainly a whole nother step that you can do if you are size constricted, you know, like you have a restriction on the size and you really need to pull it down, because this is the kind of project you could be doing for t-shirt quilts. You could be doing it for miscellaneous blocks that you have that or maybe group blocks. So yes, you could go, but I would have to redo all of this. And then also what would happen is some of those would get squished together where there would be no spacers at all. And I really like to have some spacers. I don't want to have the top and bottom row, which no vertical spacers. I'd like to have a little bit. So I'm even thinking like the dragonfly, I might just make a little spacer, just trim it down a little bit, so I can put a little 1-inch spacer in there. So the length won't change any of it, you know, how long it is, but I can trim on either side of that dragonfly and just squeeze out a little bit to put a spacer right in between the dragonfly, just to give it a little bit more color. And so that is, like the cat, I could if I wanted to. I may not with the cat. So anyways, it just adds a lot more steps to do that. And at this point, I want to sew sashings. So what I'll be doing over the next few days is cutting sashings and putting them up here, and auditioning, seeing how they look. And then I will be filming that, and so each segment this week will have something in it, because I really need to get this off the wall by the end of the week. So hopefully I can work really hard and fit this in with all the other stuff, and see how it goes, see how it gets done. Because there's not, like I said, it's not really a ton of sashing. It's really pretty reasonable, so the blocks are all pretty much banked up together. Somebody asked how big the unicorn was. She's 26 by 26. That's a big girl. Okay, my friend, there we go. Fun, right? And I have a few blocks to play with. Not many, a few. May not use that red in there, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll play around with it. Okay, so I love you. Mwah. Thanks for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.